morning, Jody.
Good morning, stranger. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. We should both be very well rested after our little break here in
We
recording
sh
podcast.
we should be, but our break happened because we were both too busy. So we might not be well rested because we've been doing lots of things.
The Special Agent Mom podcast was agenting and momming, right?
We were on hiatus. Yes, we were definitely agenting and momming a lot.
So I'm going to lead into this. This is big news. Jody, tell us what has changed and introduce yourself to our audience.
I have a new last name. I am Jody Denton now. I got married. Hence the reason
Congratulations!
hence the reason we decided to take the initial hiatus was because Jody was getting married on May the 2nd. I got married to a wonderful man, who, by the way, is one of our most faithful listeners to
Yes,
the
he is.
podcast. And yeah, it was very nice, very small ceremony, and it was perfect, just the way we wanted it, with just our close family and friends. It was on a Friday evening, and it was just it was just beautiful. It was just perfect, just the way we wanted it. So yeah, it was very nice. So I'm
So
Jody Denton,
you've told
and
me
I
several things about it. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions for you to share with our podcast listeners.
yeah.
So, um, your agent side came out just a little bit in your reception. So, what was the unique food challenge that you guys tackled? And you did it so gracefully.
Oh, he is a celiac. So yeah, so he is absolutely totally gluten free. So we did the food ourselves, and so we did mostly a charcuterie type of appetizer. We just did a very small reception in our church basement. And so he smoked most of the meat and provided most of the meat and cheese. A lot of the cheese was smoked as well. And I ordered gluten-free crackers to go along with it. I bought some jelly. He likes spicy things, so I got some hot jalapeno jelly for him as well. And we were just talking not too long ago about a food preservation workshop. I had some
Yes.
jalapeno jelly from a food preservation workshop I had been to, so I threw in some of that too. And then one of his daughters, his oldest daughter, made gluten-free cupcakes, which I thought were really good. I could not tell they were gluten-free at all. And she also made his favorite cake, carrot cake. She made a gluten-free carrot cake
Aww.
because it was his birthday that day as well. The day we got married was his birthday. I told him that I was the best birthday present he was ever going to get. And so, yeah, that
Yep.
was what we had. And it was pretty darn good. So we had some alcoholic beverages as well as non-alcoholic beverages, and it was pretty tasty.
I just love how you talked about it that, we teach lessons on food allergies and being aware and being concerned, but when you really lived it, you don't just teach it.
And I
So,
don't think anyone
incredible.
really noticed that that's kind of what we were going for because it was a nice spread. I mean, it was nice, a little bit of everything. We had some pickles and olives and things like that as well. As far as quantity
Right?
wise, I tapped into my coworker's mom who does large charcuterie boards sometimes for events. So that's kind of how I got quantity wise how much of things I was going to need. A little bit of fruit
Right.
on there too for some sweets. He
But I
kind of
just
likes he kind of likes to eat keto too. So he was like, "Why do we need sweet stuff? Why do we need carbs?" And I was like, "Because other people like them, like me." So
and
yes.
it was about both of you, not just his needs, but your wants too. So
All right.
I just, I mean, I think that's one of those things. We share our lives here on our Special Agent Mom podcast, not just the book knowledge. And so that was
He
a
also
chance
did
to
not think we needed sparklers as we left the church, but those were some of the funnest photos. And I still don't have the professional photos back. I need to get a hold of the photographer and see where those are at. So
sometimes ladies just decide what you need without, yeah, you didn't
that's
know
right.
you needed it until it was over.
That's right. It was fun.
Yay.
So what have
Well,
you been up to?
congratulations and welcome Jody Denton to
Thank you.
Special Agent Mom
Thank you.
podcast. So,
What have you been up to?
I'm on the momming side of life. We are in T-ball season and
Swim
um
lessons, I hear.
swim lessons. Yes, I want him to know how to be safe around water and it's just I got to take my son to his very first 4-H day camp. So it
And he
was
caught
kind
a
of one of those,
fish.
yes. So we do a tri-county day camp together, and Jody and I in another county. And so it was his very first 4-H camping experience. He thinks he's an expert now. So um,
He is, he is.
it I love that, we go home and kids are talking about I caught a fish, I made a craft, Jody does a nutrition lesson with them. But I went, what we're really teaching is we're teaching some independence, creating a sense of belonging, being together,
Make,
that
making new friends.
purpose greater than themselves. And um, you know, we've both been in this job long enough that we're seeing counselors who we took to their first time at camp
Mhm.
now helping the littles. And that's one of his counselors because my son had never been fishing, maybe a little bit, but not really to go out and say, I'm going fishing. And so he said, I was determined he was going to catch a fish, and he did. So that's those life skills. Okay, so I guess I didn't introduce myself. If you're just catching us for the first time, I'm Robin Eubank Callis, and I'm a K-State Extension agent in Barber County. And Jody, I didn't let you finish introducing where you're at.
I am a K-State Extension agent in Pratt County, just right north of Robin. And we're so happy you're joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about summer jobs for teenagers. I should mention what my daughters are up to this summer because one of them's doing something a little bit different. Well, they're both different. Let's just face it, they're both different. Okay, so the oldest one, the college girl, will be graduating from Kansas State University in December. This summer, she's doing an internship on campus with K-State Extension News Services, actually. I keep seeing her news releases come across my email just about every day. And she's really enjoying that. Her major is ag communications. So this kind of goes right along with her major. So that's her summer job. She's getting paid to do that.
Yay!
So
She's a
that's good.
productive young lady.
She's also learning that she does not like an 8 to 5 desk job. So I said keep that in mind when you're looking for your adulting job. The youngest one is taking classes from a community college. She's taking some EMT classes 2 days a week. She told me she was going to be too busy to have a summer job. We're going to revisit that, I think. I think we might revisit that because right now mom's helping her pay for gas, and I think we might revisit that. That's all I'm going to say about that because she does have some homework, and it is a pretty intense class because she's there all day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They do have some labs and things like that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about teen jobs and why they're important, what benefits they provide.
So I'm curious. What was your first job as a teenager?
Oh, that's a great question. So my first job, well, probably babysitting. Other than that, my first job in town, because, well, let me back up. I'm the youngest of three daughters, and I did not want to learn how to drive the tractor. That was not for me. I did not want to learn how to drive the wheat truck either. Not for me. So my job during wheat harvest and things like that was to keep them fed and keep the laundry done. So that was my job. And then as soon as I was old enough to drive, I got a job in town. And my
Mm-hmm.
first job in town, I worked at a secondhand store, a secondhand clothing store in town. That was my first job in town.
Really?
Or it was either that or I worked at the Golden Corral restaurant. I don't remember which one came first. One of the two.
I started as a dishwasher and moved my way up to a waitress.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. I think a job in food service ought to grace everyone's resume.
Because, yeah, it's, there's a lot of not glorious, oh, sorry about that, not glorious things that you learn that just is part of it. I mean, when
Yeah.
you're scrubbing other people's food off their plates,
You
but
gotta have to work with the public. It teaches you
yes,
many things. Mhm,
yeah, because
mhm.
sometimes after working with the public, scrubbing dishes doesn't sound that bad either, too. I mean, and it's not that the public intentionally, but you just are able, sometimes you catch people on a really bad day. And
Yes.
so you catch their frustration from something else. Um, so all right, so talking about team summer jobs, um, what are some of the benefits? And you've got teens. My child currently, when he needs to earn money, carries the trash out.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
we're starting with you got to earn money if you want to buy things. Um, Now he's
Well,
he's not
as far
needing a
as
lot of that, but
teenagers go, I mean, it's a great way for them to start learning about what really are their interests and finding out. It might help them just discover a career path for them if that's the way they want to go. Um, One of my daughters, and she didn't get paid for this. It was just kind of um, an opportunity for her to learn a little bit. She helped a local vet for a little bit, do some like spaying clinic type of days. They would go around and catch a bunch of cats and do some free spaying clinics. And she learned that, okay, well, while it was fun and she enjoyed doing it, she she decided, okay, well, maybe I don't really want to be a vet, you know, things like that.
and a job like that is a lot less expensive than too many classes down the road
Mhm.
to discover in college you don't like something. So I love that idea. Give a try out and a
Yeah,
potential career path.
yeah,
That's a great reason to have a summer job.
yep.
What else you got?
It also looks good on your resume. I mean, talk about building some resume
Mhm.
building, some networking skills as you do start to enter the workforce, and especially if you as a teenager can keep a job, for more than, 2 months. That summer job might turn into something that you do want to keep. But employers understand as they are hiring. Okay, well, this was just your summer job. They understand why it was only for 3 months. If you list correctly why you left that job, you if you were just a worker at the swimming pool, if you were just a lifeguard. Oh, well, yeah, that job is going to end. They understand that. But it's just a great way to learn the ropes about how to make a resume and building that resume and
Mhm.
just starting to have something to put down on a resume. It really is. Great way to start. It's also really good. Speaking of job skills, interviewing, great way to build interviewing skills. Mhm.
You and I have both had to interview for jobs
Mhm.
and different things as adults. And you don't stop and think about when you start building those skills. Because,
Yeah. Our 4-H kids kind of get a little bit of a practice at that. Whether that's through consultation judging, that's a little bit like interviewing. I know if
Mhm.
our kids want to be a 4-H ambassador, they do have to go through a formal interview to be a 4-H ambassador. But a lot of high school kids who aren't in 4-H or FFA, they don't have the opportunity to get to interview. So, applying for a summer job, that's a great way to do that, is to get introduced to interviewing that way. And they also need to learn how to dress for an interview.
You know, and I know there's high schools that are doing great jobs of running mock
Mhm.
interviews and helping write resumes. And so it's not just a summer experience, but it can make that school experience a real life
Right.
experience.
Let's, yeah, put those skills into practice. I'm not sure exactly what all the high schools are offering these days, but a lot of them do offer those skills building opportunities at the high school
Mhm.
level as well. So I hope they are. I hope so. Um, I'm sorry,
You know,
did you have?
well, no, I was just thinking, and so with your first job, you come into some money.
Yes,
And
yay.
so
So what do you
everybody
do
has,
with that money? Do you spend it right away?
oh,
Like my children sometimes do. Uh,
well, and that's just it. It's a spender. My sister is the saver, and
mhm.
yeah, from us growing up. And I have to admit, I stumbled onto a box I hadn't looked in for a while. And we're not going to say how many years ago my high school waitressing career was, but I still have some of my tip money saved in a box.
Nice.
I had some people who were very creative and they folded the dollar bills. They left as tips. And so I found those and I still have, I mean, I'm like, so anyway, that may not
Yep.
be the responsible way to manage that money, but many years later, I found them again. So,
But for some kids, this might be their first opportunity to open a checking account, open a savings account, learn how to put a certain percentage of their paycheck into savings every time they get paid, and really start learning how to manage the money that they do get. They will definitely start learning about taxes as they learn how much is taken out of their paycheck every month for taxes. And it's a great way to start learning money management. It really is. And hopefully they have an adult to help guide them and encourage them to save a portion of their paycheck every time they get paid, and not just, spend it all on Starbucks or scooters or whatever um, that they want to spend it on. Learn how to budget is what I'm trying to say.
well, and I think it's important when we talk about savings, savings without a goal is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it's great if you're the personality type who gets the excitement from just watching the savings accounts grow. But a lot of times, if we can put even a short-term savings goal together and
Mm-hmm.
then a long-term savings goal, um, I have a long-term savings goal that helps me want to stick some money back, and you're going to appreciate this. But I have found that there are cruises, when I go on a cruise, where you can quilt. And so it's
Ah.
all quilters, well, not all quilters, but quilters are on the cruise and
Mm-hmm.
they have themes and projects you can do. And so that's like a bucket list savings thing. And so, when I have to make
Nice.
that decision, I'm like, I can leave this money in the savings or I can buy something right now. So I think it's
Nice.
that long-term savings plan that helps when you have a goal in mind for that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah, I like that. Setting goals. Yep.
all right.
Yep.
So, other benefits.
Well, I know some kids are hesitant to get a job because they think it'll really cut into their social life, that they won't get to go do the things they want to do with their family, they won't get to go on vacation, or they won't get to hang out with their friends. But, it really does teach kids about prioritizing and responsibilities and, what truly is important. So they can still do those things. They just have to learn how to organize their time, organize their priorities, and uh, learn how to communicate with their employer. Okay, this is really important to me. I would like offer this date, and let their employer know far enough ahead of time so that they can adjust their schedule. And you really have to weigh in. Is this really worth asking off for, or is it not? And
You
be
know,
truthful with your employer.
I remember being scared to ask my boss for days off, but it really, I mean, and he was absolutely nice, the
Yeah,
man who owned the restaurant. So, but it was, it's still you had to make sure you really wanted to do whatever
yeah,
to have that
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, yeah.
So,
You really got to be open and learn how to communicate. Hmm. Yep, absolutely. The good part is that it does keep you busy. It keeps your teenager busy, and you as a teenager, you should be happy that you're busy because then you're not sitting around the house and then your parents are like, you look bored. I think I'm going to find you something to do. So if you're busy at work, you're at least earning money. So keep that in mind.
well, and I mean, we talk, there's a whole study around the culture of busyness and staying busy and the ability, and we're not advocating that they teens don't relax or people don't take time off. It's not that, but it helps with schedule development and managing
Mhm.
a schedule. And maybe you're too busy for some of the things that can just suck time and not produce anything. I know I can think of bad habits that I developed that just suck time and don't produce anything. So um, we all can fall into that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. I've seen, well, me myself, you get on your phone and you start scrolling and yes, and
Hmm.
I've seen my teenager do that a lot, a lot, a lot. So yes.
You know, and I think so much has changed since you and I were, um, but yep, old. I still remember the day my mother yelled at me. I just took you to the library today. If you read that whole today, I'm not taking you back tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't phone scrolling, it wasn't game playing, but I still remember I could demolish an Encyclopedia Brown book in a day and a half. And reading's a good
Yeah.
skill too, but mom was like, find some balance here, child.
Yes. Yeah. See, when I was little, we didn't get to go to town, but maybe once a week because mom was busy helping dad in the field and we lived 12 miles outside
Mhm.
of town. But the library had a summer reading program. Then if you read all these books, we got to go on a little trip if you were the winner of the summer reading program. And I do remember going to the
Oh,
Cosmosphere once because heck, yeah, I can read. I was going to win that. So absolutely. Yeah, I remember doing that. And I just was listening the other day must have been on a podcast I was listening to, another podcast, and they were saying now there's adult summer reading programs that are very popular that adults are signing up for because they would rather read a book than watch TV. So go check out your local library. Yeah. I mean, if
there
your
are there are
teen is bored, tell them to go check out their local library.
our local library does include adults in their summer reading program.
Yes. Yeah, ours
I
does
I need
too.
to get my son signed up. So,
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, if your teen is overscheduled in other things, um, they don't have time for a job. Some of them are doing some other, studies during the summer or have sports practice during the summer. I know locally our football program's already
mhm.
off to great guns. Some of them are doing basketball. Um, Maybe a job just isn't for them. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities too. Check around with your church, check around with your library, check around with a local food pantry. Look around for volunteer opportunities if they're looking for just, something extra to do. And that also looks good on a resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are always places that need help, always. So, and it's also something that you can volunteer as a family. It doesn't have to be just the teen. There's some things you can do together actually to help make the community better. Um, so I wanted to highlight here talking about not just jobs, but have you ever thought about teens starting a business?
Oh.
So if you mentioned that your daughter's not loving the 9 to 5 kind of idea.
Mhm.
If a work schedule working for somebody else doesn't work, you could visit with your teen about starting a business. And K-State has a youth entrepreneurship challenge, and Barber County hosted their first one this year. And we had 3 businesses apply, all 4-Hers, and they're all things that they're actually doing. And so one of our winner had a bucket calf orphanage, bottle calf orphanage. And so yeah, I see you kind of chuckling, but things like that are a business and you can make the money and you have the money to balance, like we were talking the benefits of that, but it's also business ownership. So,
Okay.
and I think our 4-Hers, all 3 of our participants, all 3 businesses, it was multiple sibling groups, were 4-Hers and playing off of 4-H projects. But I have a teen in my neighborhood who started mowing lawns and now has his own service company and logos on vehicles and has taken on massive mowing responsibilities and has employees. And he just graduated high school.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, if you're not
So
afraid of hard work. Yep.
he has grown that and it's just I he probably doesn't realize I'm the lady down the street watching him change his logos and cheering him on because it is incredible the skills that he's developed to be in the process of doing that. So
Absolutely. Yep.
so
Yeah.
uh but anyway, I want to so if anybody's interested, those challenges, the state contest is in March, and so that information starts coming out in the fall to the spring. So youth entrepreneurship challenge is what it's called.
Yeah, and it's a statewide contest as well. So they will compete at the university this month. Is that right? No?
March.
March. Okay.
March. Yep. They had a contest. They had the contest in March
Okay.
on campus, and they're gathering people up this month and kind of getting ready to relaunch for next year. So I think a summit is what they're calling it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Actually,
Very
it may
good.
be today, but it was one of the things that didn't fit in my calendar. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
anyway,
Gotcha.
but
Okay. So we're a little behind the guns here. If if your teen doesn't already have a summer job, really the best advice would have been to start early. They should have started first part of May, end of April, finding a job. Um, I still would encourage them to keep looking if they don't already have one. If they have one already, great. That's awesome. But don't give up. Keep looking. Definitely stop by the business in person and look presentable when you do. Don't go out in your cutoff shorts that are way too short and your t-shirt that has a stain on it. Look your best. look presentable, have your hair fixed nicely, and look like you're ready to work when you show up. And then ask about if they're hiring. Look nice. Look nice. Because it might not be too late this season. It just might not. And then that job might lead into a job you can keep on working even as school starts. Because a lot of local businesses, especially in a small town like ours, definitely work with the kids once their school schedule starts. If you're a good worker, they really do. I know my daughter worked for a local hardware store. They were great about working with her school schedule. They really were very nice people.
Well, I know you and I have both had high school and well, mine have all been college student interns at different times or
Yeah,
summer
mine have
helpers.
too. Yeah,
And a lot of times you can plan projects around when they can be there.
yeah,
And so it, it's always so exciting to see somebody that worked with you when they were first developing skills and what they've grown into, and the things they've been able to go on and do. And so I really do believe that you're right. Businesses want the best for the kids.
yeah, absolutely. They sure do. And there's just all kinds of jobs that you wouldn't even think of. I mean, just helping at sporting events. We've got a great big sports complex here in our town that hosts a lot of ball tournaments. Just volunteering for those ball tournaments is one idea. We've got lots of fast food restaurants. There is no shame in working for a fast food restaurant. A lot of those fast food restaurants also offer scholarships to high school seniors. Once you
Mhm.
work for them long enough, they do offer high school scholarships. I had a nephew who worked for one just long enough so he could get a high school scholarship from them. Smart kid, smart kid. That's all I got to say. Um, yeah, and if you don't mind putting a little sweat equity into something, moving and packing companies, uh, those are, if you don't mind, you know, working hard, mowing companies, like you just said, lawn companies, all kinds of possibilities out there. You just have to look for it. Lots of places are hiring. They really are, especially in the food industry.
Well, and you mentioned that it would be great if we would have been talking about this in April or early May. But there's teens out there who've discovered that they were in a job that didn't work for them.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
there's businesses
Yeah.
still looking for how do I replace this person
Yeah.
to get through to the end of the summer.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yep. That's exactly right. Yep.
you know, and if you want to find a job, there's a job. We're in a job market where there's a job out there.
I would
It
say
may
so.
not be
Yeah.
your dream job, but you know, I guess I look at teens and go, you're gonna get great experience wherever you do work.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I really love the freedom that came from my own money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're saving for something big like your own vehicle or, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're saving for a trip or whatever. Yeah, just that freedom or saving for college. Yep,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, what's next on our big agenda now that we're back in action?
Well, next week I go to 4-H camp.
Lucky you.
We're part of a 7 county camp group that does a 2 night kind of beginner camp, and the idea to get people started. Kansas 4-H is super blessed to have the Rock Springs 4-H Center and camping schedules. Um, but it can be a little intimidating for some of our littles who want to do a camp. So ours is a beginner camp. Get them 2 nights away from home and try some new things. And um, luckily, we're only 45 minutes from the campground. So that's what my next week starts with. How about you? What's next for you?
Well, I'm going to do some training on how to, and I've done this before, but it's been several years, how to do a first impressions visit. Used to be the Kansas Pride Organization. I forget what they're called now. But I was invited to go to a local community and do a first impressions visit. So I'm going to do that. I think that'll be fun.
They
Basically,
are
it's when you
fun.
go into a community and you anonymously go into a community and you kind of assess all that they have and give your feedback to their Chamber of Commerce, I believe. But I'll let you know. I'm getting trained on it next week. So there you go. That is what I know.
I'm Googling so that I don't give the wrong acronym. Kansas Community Empowerment
There you go.
Program.
Kansas
And
Community
yes,
Empowerment Program.
was formerly the Pride program, but
Mhm.
it's a great thing to do when you visit another community.
Huh?
I did one, oh, maybe it's been 2 years ago. But then after you go through the checklist, then it's like you drive down your own community streets,
Exactly.
looking around, going, hmm,
Mhm.
everybody knows that's where you get your lawnmower repaired, but there's not really a sign that says
Mhm.
repairs, lawnmowers.
Right. Yeah.
Or, oh, that building's really 2 blocks off the main street. But if you don't know what corner to turn at,
Yep. And then our
it's,
community will be in the thick of wheat harvest as well. I bet yours already is.
we are rolling.
Uh-huh.
I was
Yeah.
so excited. Tuesday, I saw my first combine in the field. Um, and for anybody who's listening who's not a Kansas person, a lot of times wheat harvest starts at the end of May. Um, my county's on the southern border of Oklahoma, southern border right with Oklahoma, and we'll be some of the first ones cutting across the state. And for us to not be cutting until the 10th of June,
That's late.
and
Yeah.
that's the first person I talked to who said it was they were cutting, they said the wheat's ready. I'm like, oh, I'm a farm girl. I could tell the wheat was ready. I just didn't know if the ground was solid yet. Um,
Yeah, it's been
we've
wet.
been blessed with a lot of rain, but we are rolling here in Barber County. So
Good, good.
that's
Yeah.
and I guess I would say let's put the extra plug then. If you are in a community that has things like harvest, please be careful. Those folks are moving fields there. If
Yeah.
you slow
Be
down
patient.
just a little bit, you won't lose but a few minutes out of your trip and you might keep everybody safe.
Absolutely. Yep.
Get them all home safe again. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay. Well, if you need to email us, my email has changed. You
Ooh,
know that?
I did notice that. So, what is Jody Denton's email now?
It's J.O. Denton, Denton, at ksu.edu. And you are still at REUBANK at ksu.edu.
Yep.
And our socials are all still the same. I'm at Pratt County Pratt CO Extension on Facebook, and you're at Barber County Extension on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram at Pratt CO Extension on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us on YouTube as well. Me, anyway, Pratt County Extension on YouTube.
You're there. You're everywhere, Jody. You're everywhere.
That's where we are.
All
That's
right.
it
Well,
for today.
this was good to do again. And yeah, we'll get a
Okay.
summer series going here.
Well, we are back.
We are.
Okay.
All right. Well, you take care and we will talk again soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.